Well, if you love breads and pastries, there's a bakery in town that has mouth-watering treats, especially for those who maybe can't eat wheat, barley, or rye. And the owner has recently been named one of the winners of a Heinz Black Kitchen Initiative grant to assist small black food businesses with financing due to inequities in access to capital. Oliver Pinder joins us. He is the owner and chef of Wild Rice Bakery, which specializes in all kinds of baked goods, especially gluten-free varieties. Welcome to Intersections.
Thank you for having me.
So how did you kind of get into baking? I know you kind of come from a background, your family bakes, and how did it kind of catch you?
Well, for me, I started baking for myself. I have IBS and I'm not celiac, but I avoid wheat and I avoid gluten for the most part for my own health benefit. And I have been in the restaurant industry for some time. I was in catering shortly before starting Wild Rise. And when the opportunity came for me to start doing baking and I started baking for myself, teaching myself the mores of doing gluten-free, and the demand presented itself to me. Friends began asking me for the different products, and it just, snowballed from there.
Yeah. However, your family bakes.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about, your parents are from Trinidad and, you have roots in New York and you've studied in South Africa. Kind of walk us a little bit through how all of that you've been able to pull into what you do at the bakery.
So my mom and dad are Trinidadian, from Trinidad, although I was born in Brooklyn. I did grow up in Trinidad. And my mom and her family, they're a huge family of cooks and bakers. She's what I consider to be the baker of the family. Everyone comes to her for her breads, and different things. But growing up, she would have these huge bowls and she would make 10 loaves at a time, and they would all be marked off for someone because she is one of 12 kids.
Oh, boy.
And so, for her, baking just came naturally.
Sure.
She's definitely not someone who bakes with recipes. She definitely bakes by feel.
Yeah.
And my dad was a chef before he passed. So growing up, looking at her, watching her process, food was always something that I was really passionate about, even though I went to undergrad and that wasn't related to food. Afterwards, when I moved to South Africa for a program, I was fortunate to go to culinary school while I was there. And then while I was there also started doing part-time baking for a cafe not too far from where I lived. And that's where the gluten-free baking really took off for me, because South Africa seemed to have a lot more access to flours that were gluten-free and celiac safe than I had access to in the US. And so I really started to experiment from there. And then when I moved back to the US, I was thinking about getting into the restaurant industry and, sort of trying to feel my way through a lot of the challenges like, wages and also waste. And I was thinking, okay, how do I navigate the things that are important to me, but also my passion for cooking? And I found out about the program at Chatham, the food studies program, and I started the master's there. And which is why I moved to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So when I did that, I really got into sort of like sourdough baking because a friend of mine started a fermentation club at our school, Trevor, and we just took off from there. He's also sensitive to gluten, and I started baking for them and doing part-time baking. Just kind of like became what was passionate for me.
Wow, wow. And so, you also were able to win this award through Heinz, and it's going to allow you to do more with your bakery, right? How is it going to help you?
So the Heinz grant is very important for us. Where we are right now, our building we're in a production space in Point Breeze Homewood, and it is not air conditioned. And that might seem like a small thing, but we're running 2 commercial ovens and a proofer most days, so it gets really hot in the summertime. And as you know, the summers get really warm. So for us to be able to put in an HVAC system in that space will allow us to do more products that require temperature controlled environments, and also just to have a better working environment for the staff.
Yeah.
For the most part, we run several fans during the summertime, which is great, but at the same time, has its challenges.
Sure.
So it will allow us to sort of like allow us to do more pastries, more cakes, things like that.
And we see some of what you brought with you just so that we can see. Is there like one product that people seem to really gravitate towards or say, oh, wow, that's my favorite?
So if you are gluten sensitive, if you're celiac, our bread is generally what people come to us for. The industry has come a long way in terms of what is accessible for folks, but our bread, our sourdough especially, is really a draw for our customers. And then if you're more of a sweet tooth, our brownies tend to be what folks really go for.
Well, Oliver, thank you so much for being with us and showing us all of what you do. And I wish you all the best as
Thank
you
you.
move forward and expand with the grant. Thank you again for coming.
Yes, I appreciate it.
All right. And I'll have my last word when we come back.